Once upon a time, in a distant village nestled between the rolling hills of the great savannah, there lived a young man named Juma. Juma had always dreamed of wealth. From the moment he could remember, he longed for the riches that could buy him anything he desired. A fine house, clothes made from the finest fabrics, a grand feast every day, and of course, respect and admiration from his people. But despite working hard in his village, helping his father in the fields and tending to his cattle, Juma was never wealthy. He could never afford the things he wanted. His father, a humble farmer, taught him that hard work was the key to success, but Juma believed that there had to be an easier way to achieve his dreams. One day, a mysterious old man appeared in the village. He was tall, cloaked in a robe of shimmering white, and walked with an air of power. He went to Juma's father's house offering a strange proposal. "Your son, Juma, has great potential," the old man said. "I can grant him the wealth he desires, but in exchange for something precious, a sacrifice, if you will." The next morning, just as the sun began to rise, Juma made his way to the forest, heart pounding with excitement and fear. The air was thick with the scent of earth and leaves. The old man was waiting for him, standing in front of a massive tree, its trunk wide and ancient. "Are you prepared?" the old man asked. Juma nodded eagerly. "Yes, I am ready." Without hesitation, Juma replied, "I'll do anything. I want to be rich beyond my wildest dreams. I'll give up anything." The old man's smile deepened. "Very well. Meet me in the forest at the break of dawn tomorrow." The next morning, just as the sun began to rise, Juma made his way to the forest, heart pounding with excitement and fear. The air was thick with the scent of earth and leaves. That evening, Juma returned to the village, expecting to find his family gone and his newfound wealth awaiting him. But as he approached his home, he saw something that made his blood run cold. His house was still there, but it was empty. His father and mother were gone, but their belongings remained untouched. And then a sound echoed in the distance. It was the sound of crying, and it came from deep within the forest. Juma, heart pounding, ran toward the sound. As he ventured deeper into the trees, the crying grew louder. It sounded like the voices of children, and the fear that had started as a small knot in his stomach now grew into an overwhelming force. He came upon a clearing, and there at the center stood his father, his mother, and his younger sister, all standing motionless, staring at him with wide, unblinking eyes. "Mother? Father? Bola?" Juma called, his voice shaking, but there was no response. The figures remained frozen, their faces expressions of shock and sadness. A voice echoed behind him, soft and familiar. "You wanted wealth, Juma, but you gave up your heart to achieve it." Juma turned to find the old man standing there once again, his eyes filled with pity. No, this cannot be," Juma stammered. "What have I done?" The old man nodded solemnly. "Your family is now trapped in the forest, bound to this place, as you are bound to the wealth you sought. You may have riches beyond your wildest dreams, but at what cost?" Juma's mind reeled, his heart shattered as he looked at the motionless figures of his family. He could not feel their warmth, their love, their presence. They were gone, trapped in a realm between life and death, lost to his greed. "Please, I was foolish," Juma begged, falling to his knees. "Take it all back. Take the wealth. Bring them back to me." But the old man shook his head, his expression unwavering. "The wealth you seek is not what you truly need," the old man said. "True wealth lies in love, in family, in the bonds we share. You have sacrificed that which can never be replaced." Juma sobbed, but it was too late. The old man faded into the darkness, and the forest fell silent once again. Juma returned to the village, but he was no longer the same. Though he had acquired wealth beyond measure, gold, jewels, land and cattle, none of it brought him the joy he had imagined. He built himself a grand house, surrounded by treasures, but there was an emptiness that no riches could fill. His once hopeful heart was now hollow, and every time he looked at his wealth, he could only see the faces of his family, frozen in time, forever lost to him. And so, Juma lived out his days in that grand house, surrounded by treasures, but always haunted by the sacrifice he had made. The villagers whispered of his misfortune, for they saw how the man who once sought wealth above all else had become the wealthiest, yet the most miserable of them all. Juma's story became a lesson to others, a warning passed down through generations. No wealth, no matter how great, is worth the sacrifice of that which is most precious. True riches are found not in gold or jewels, but in the love and connection we share with those we hold dear. As the years passed, Juma's house grew even grander. He expanded it with every treasure he acquired, but the joy of building it was always overshadowed by the void in his heart. Every room, filled with gold and jewels, only served as a reminder of the price he had paid. The walls, once echoing with the laughter of his family, now stood silent, haunted by memories of what he had lost. Each night, Juma would sit alone by his fireplace, gazing at the fire's warm glow, but there was no warmth in his heart. His riches meant nothing without those he loved. He had everything he ever dreamed of, but nothing that truly mattered. One day, the village elder came to Juma's house. The old man who had watched Juma grow from a young boy to a man knew of the sacrifice he had made. He had heard whispers of Juma's sorrow and sought him out, hoping to offer him some wisdom. "Juma," the elder said softly, his voice carrying years of knowledge, "you have everything a man could ever want, but I see the sadness in your eyes. Why do you still suffer?" Juma stared at him, lost in thought. "I have wealth," he murmured, "but I have no heart, no love, no family. I cannot undo what I've done." The elder's gaze softened. "True wealth, Juma, is found in the bonds we share, in the love we give and receive. Without it, all the gold in the world means nothing." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. But Juma's heart was still heavy with regret. No matter how much he tried to focus on his wealth, he could not escape the memories of his family. They were with him in every empty corner of the house, in every untouched meal, in every night spent alone. He missed their laughter, their presence, and their love. Juma had all the material wealth in the world, but it could not fill the emptiness inside him. The more he tried to gather riches, the more he felt the true cost of his sacrifice. "I have made a terrible mistake," Juma often whispered to himself in the stillness of his grand home. "No amount of gold can bring them back." In his desperation, Juma set out to find the old man who had promised him wealth. He journeyed back into the forest where they had met, hoping to undo the curse and bring his family back. The forest seemed darker than before, its trees twisted and looming, as if they too mourned the fate he had chosen. He called out to the old man, hoping for a chance to redeem himself. "Please return what I have lost," Juma begged, his voice breaking. "I will give up everything, the wealth, the riches. I will surrender it all if only you will bring my family back." But the forest remained silent. The old man was nowhere to be found, and Juma was left standing alone, surrounded by the same darkness that had claimed his heart. It was then that Juma realized the truth. No matter how much he pleaded, no matter how many sacrifices he was willing to make, he could never undo the damage he had caused. The old man had granted him his riches, but at the cost of his soul, and no amount of wealth or regret could change that. Juma sank to his knees in the silent forest, a broken man. He had sought wealth, But what he had truly lost was far more valuable. His family, his love, his humanity. They were gone, and no riches could ever replace them. In that moment, Juma understood what the old man had meant. True wealth was not in gold or jewels, but in the love and connection we share with others. And now, with his family lost and his heart empty, Juma realized that his sacrifice had cost him everything that truly mattered.